After a snowy Saturday, the Ohio State Buckeyes and Indiana Hoosiers decided to play two here at Bill Davis Stadium on Sunday. But Indiana would take the second game of the three-game series with a final score of 8-2. The game got off to a cold start with both teams failing to score until the third inning when Buckeye first baseman Josh Dezay scored a two-run double to give Ohio State the lead. Although the lead didn't last long as Indiana answered back in the fifth, scoring 3 runs off 2 home runs.
From the field, it just seemed like we were flat, and the dugout seemed like we were flat. Our team's definitely on the uppity up, usually, and I don't know really what was going on there, but I do know that we will bounce back.
Well, the quality of their at bats wore us down. The other thing you look at is, they're dudes. We're dudes. You think of who their 3 best players are. It's Schwarber, it's Travis, and it's DeMuth, and those guys showed up. They had big time weekends, and that's what you need. You need your big players to play in big games, and their guys did that.
Ohio State relieved starting pitcher Greg Greevy in the 6th. However, the Hoosiers still closed out the inning with a 3-run single to take the game to 7-2. After one more Indiana run scored in the 8th, Hoosier long reliever Will Corson Carr received the win after closing out the game with 5 scoreless innings. Greevy got the game's loss as he moves to 3-2 on the season.
Yeah, I can say it's the first time I felt like we played young. We got a young ball club. Right. And I think today's the first time where I really felt like we played young. We tried to do a little too much. Ronnie Dawson, I love the kid. He's playing his tail off out there, tries to dive for a ball. That's just, you're trying too hard. You can't make that play. It's a young mistake.
The Buckeyes will rely on Tanner Tully to deliver them a win in the final game of the series against Indiana, and we'll see about that shortly as it starts just 45 minutes after the end of the first game. I'm Franz Ross for Buckeye TV. Now over to Hayden Grove for the second game.
Despite having only 15 minutes to warm up in the chilly temperatures before Game 2, the Hoosier Bats came out hot as Indiana swept the series in the doubleheader against Ohio State by a final score of 7-1.
When you come to adversity, and getting swept at home is adversity, in my opinion. When you have adversity as a person, as a team, as a family, no matter what it is you do, your character becomes defined, and we're going to find out what we're all about here in the next week.
Tanner Tully started on the mound for the Buckeyes in Game 2 and was immediately beat up as the Hoosiers got out to an early 4-0 lead. Sloppy defensive play didn't help either, however, as 2 Hoosier runs were plated in part thanks to Ohio State's early miscues in the field. As the Buckeyes came to the plate, however, their misfortunes would only continue. After scoring just 2 runs in Game 1 of the doubleheader, the Buckeyes could only muster a single run in Game 2 thanks to a dominant performance from Indiana pitcher Christian Morris. Morris didn't allow a single hit in the first 2 innings of the game, and while he wasn't perfect, the Indiana ace finished with 7 2/3 innings pitched, allowing just 3 total hits and 1 earned run while striking out 4 batters.
They pitched well. They did a couple of things. I think they used both sides of the plate with their fastball, and they hit with their breaking ball. They hit enough with their breaking ball to give us, to have that off speed in the back of the mind, and but their fastball was on both sides of the plate.
While Beals was not pleased with his team's performance over the weekend, as the Buckeyes were bashed by an aggregate score of 15-3 on Sunday afternoon alone, he said following the game that his team was going to have to pick themselves up and get back to playing Ohio State baseball in the coming days.
There's going to be no magical potion to it. We're going to get right down to the grassroots of what we're all about, what we've talked about, and we're going to work hard and practice hard and dig into our team, dig into each other, and lean on each other, and be Buckeyes. And you just got to go. You can't add new. No sense in adding new. If I thought that would work, we'd have been doing it all along. We're going to go down to our grassroots and build ourselves back up.
The Buckeyes will take on the Ohio Bobcats and Toledo Rockets in the coming days before traveling to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers for a 3-game set. For Buckeye TV, I'm Hayden Grove.